Hi, welcome to this video on Introduction to Excel Functions Part 1. In this video, we're going to look at three functions: the sum function, the average function, and the sum if function. The sum function is used to add numbers from a selected range, while the average function is used to find the arithmetic mean of selected numbers. Now, the sum if adds a particular number if it meets a given criteria. That means for any particular number to be added, it must meet a given criteria. Let's look at our data. Here we have our staff date, morning, afternoon, and evening shift of their sales values. Now I want to find the average of this. That's the first task we are told to do, average sales. So I'm going to type equal to average. So I take the average, take my tab to open up the bracket, and I close this with the first three. I highlight the first three and I press my enter key. Now that is my average for that row. I copied this down. Let me take off this one. And the next thing is total sales for the month. Now to get total sales for the month, we first have to find total sales per row. So I'm going to say equal to sum, which is simply adding these three here, and I highlight up to this. This is what I'm adding up, and I take this 64. I copied this value down. Now I take off this as well. Now I need to go down and add up all this. Now after I'm scrolling down, you notice that I have scrolled off the headers, which is not a good approach to working when you are using Excel. You should hold the headers fixed so that when you scroll down, you don't scroll off the header bars. And how do you do that? Place your cursor below the header rows. This is the header row 4, and I'm placing my cursor below. Now I'm placing my cursor to the right of the first column, just in case I scroll to the right, I'll be able to maintain this column. So I'm placing below the header row and to the right of the first column. Now I click on view. Then in the window group, you're going to see freeze pane. Select freeze pane and take freeze panes. The moment you do that, you see two lines, a vertical and horizontal line drawn. Now when I scroll down now, you will notice that the headers are not scrolled off, and that is how you should keep your worksheet when working with a large data. So I'm going to go down and sum the whole of this. Now I can take equal to sum, or I take the shortcut key alt equal to. So I take alt equal to. That is the shortcut key for auto sum, and I press my enter key. Now this is the sum of sales for the month. Now the next one we're going to look at is total sales per staff. Now to get total sales per staff, we must know the number of staff so that we get to collate their sales. Now we can't do that here because these staff, they are having, I have Mike here. Mike is appearing a couple of times. John appearing more than 2-3 times. So we need to know how many staff are there. That is extracting the unique values which we've done earlier on. So I'm going to extract how many staff we have here using the advanced data filter. I click here in data, go to the data and sort group, and you'll see advanced filter. Click on the advanced filter button, take off that and select list range. List range simply means the range of data where you will want your criteria to come from. So I'm selecting the whole of this one. That is my list range. Now my criteria is also coming from that particular range. So I select this, and I need to copy to a different range. Now what am I copying? I'm copying only the unique records. So I'm going to click unique records. Now I need to copy to a destination. So I click copy to. Now I'm going to click somewhere I want to copy my data to. So let's place it here, and I click OK. The moment you click OK, now we have this at the unique staff: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I need to know the total sales. I'm just going to type here total sales. Total sales. Okay. Now I'm going to pick Mike, check here on the total, and add every information that concerns Mike. So I'm going to say equal to, I take sum if, which means it's going to sum everything that belongs to Mike from this particular range. Now I have drawn up the syntax. Let's take off this. Now this is the syntax for the sum if function. It's equal to sum if bracket open r, comma, c, comma, sr. Now the R here is the range where the criteria will be coming from. Now we know that these are the criteria for sorting stuff. So the range where those stuff is this whole of this column A. That's where the range is. Now the criteria, these are the criteria. So if I'm here, my criteria will be Mike. If I'm here, my criteria is going to be Felix. And if I'm here, my criteria will be John. So the criteria will be the individual stuff. While my SR is the sum range. That is, if I have to pick Mike, where am I going to take my summation from? I'm taking my summation from the total column. So having that in mind, please let's not try and cram this. You don't need to cram, because as you type your functions, Excel will display those logic. So I'm going to type equal to sum if. Now I have sum if, and I take my tab to open that is asking me for range. Now we've already defined our range as that range where my criteria will be coming from. This is the range. So I'm going to come here and say the whole of this range. That is from A5 to A30. All the names there is my range. Now the moment I take that, I'm going to fix that, because that range will be fixed. So I use my F4 to fix that. F4 simply put the $sign so that when I copy down, my range doesn't change. I take my comma, because we said after R is comma. When I take comma, it's asking me for criteria. I will know the criteria for sum here is Mike. So I select Mike and I take my comma again. Now the next is asking me is sum range. Now the sum range is the range where it's going to pick the summation from. And this is the range. Starting from this, I take it down to the last number, and I'm going to hold that place also fixed, because that range is a fixed range. So I use my $sign to hold that range fixed, and I press my enter key. Now the moment I press my enter key, is that if you add up all Mike's performance, is 224. Now I'm going to copy this down to the last person here. I'm going to copy that down. Now that means Felix have 196. Now you can understand why I have to place that $sign so that this range here doesn't change as I drag down. Now we can confirm what we've done by adding up all their total if it agrees with what we have here. So I'm going to add up this, and we should have 1432 is exactly what we have here. So which means our summation is right. Now this is how to use the sum if function. Now we have covered how we can use simple sum, average, and the sum if function. In other videos, we are going to look at some other functions that still fall within the foundation course content. Thank you very much for listening, and bye-bye.